My queen Maria went on Call Her Daddy, and we have got to talk about it. So I listened to the hour-and-a-half episode, and I'm going to do a 3-part series on my page. This is part 1, so let's get into it. So first of all, she literally did amazing. The podcast was full of tea entertainment. I was sat. Maria said that if she was ever going to go on a podcast to speak, it was going to be Call Her Daddy. And it was always going to be Call Her Daddy because this podcast was in the works and was originally supposed to be a month ago. A month ago, she was going to go on Call Her Daddy to announce that she was going to be the next Bachelorette. But a few days before the announcement, she decided to pull back. Like, she was deep in it. It was confirmed. It was her. She did fittings. But ultimately, she was not mentally prepared to go through with the process after everything that happened on The Bachelor, so she decided to turn it down for her mental health. She wanted to put herself first, go back to Toronto, and be with her friends and family. She knew that Jen really wanted it since they were close friends and that Jen was all in, so she felt really good about her decision passing it up. And she didn't want to say anything for a while because she wanted Jen to have her moment because she deserves it, and she reiterates that Jen is going to be an amazing Bachelorette. Maria says that she's always wanted to go on The Bachelor. She loves the show. It seems like she was in casting for a few years, like in the running, but then 3 days before, she was asked to do it last minute and was like, all right, here we go. She also said that she has multiple friends that have been on the show before, including Nick Vial, so you guys are gonna have to like for part 2. My queen Maria went on Call Her Daddy, and this is the Spark Notes recap part 2. So she talked a lot about her friendship with Nick Vial and their past. She said that nothing ever happened between her and Nick, but they did have a flirty banter for a while, and that they were really good friends, and that Nick would even give her advice about dating back in the day, way before he met Natalie. She did say she felt uncomfortable bringing this up considering Nick just got married, but it was way before Natalie and nothing ever happened. And she said that a lot of people noticed this on Reddit, so she just wants to like speak her truth on things and does not want to step on Nick and Natalie's relationship because she's so happy for them and it was so long ago. And she also said it was nothing to talk about. But basically when Nick and her were friends and she said that she always wanted to go on the show, Nick said that he thought she would end up being a villain. And that recently Nick took a picture with Ashley I and Sydney, her arch rival on the show. And since Maria was so confused about all the Sydney drama, she like had a conspiracy that she thought Nick and Sydney like bounded together to like take her down and make her the villain. I guess Nick like liked a bunch of her pictures on Instagram from years ago. And then once this season of The Bachelor aired and Bachelor Nation fans picked it up, Nick went back to unlike all of those photos, which got people talking more, which is why she wanted to address this on the podcast and just like put an end to it. However, one of the guys that she was dating at the time, and I think this was like 7 years ago, guys, thought that maybe she was cheating on him with Nick, but it ended up being the other way around, and she tells the story about how this guy cheated on her. It was kind of interesting that she talked way more about Nick on the podcast than Joey. I felt like we were really lacking with the Joey questions and Maria and Joey's relationship. But Maria did say that her and Joey were just never going to be end game and that they would just be friends in the real world. And that she's just so happy for Joey and Kelsey and they fit perfectly together. So he got what he wanted out of this. And that when she had that meltdown on the episode where she almost went home when she saw that Jen kissed Joey on that group date, that was her actually looking for a way out right before hometowns because she knew she wasn't the person, but then he convinced her to stay. But I also think the producer convinced her to stay because we needed to see her hometown. Make sure to like this video for part 3 and go check part 1 on my page if you haven't seen it yet. My queen Maria went on Call Her Daddy, and here are the Spark Notes, part 3, the final part. Make sure to go check out parts 1 and 2 on my page. So Maria talked all about her experience on The Bachelor and how she didn't know how she was going to be perceived on the show. She never thought going into it that she was going to have drama with the other girls. Like, her biggest concern was whether or not she was actually going to like Joey. So when filming wrapped and she got home to Canada, she sat down with her friends and family to let them know that she didn't know how this was going to go. And she was so pleasantly surprised that the audience and the fans really took to her, and she's just so grateful for all the love and appreciation. She still feels like she was completely innocent in the whole Sydney thing, and that 3 of the girls were really coming for her all season trying to make her a villain that she wasn't. Sydney overheard Maria talking about Medina and the age thing, and Sydney heard it wrong and then told Medina and then made it worse for Maria. Maria said that Sydney apologized to her the next day and they squashed it, but then Sydney brought up the drama later at night. So the feud just got deeper and deeper, but they did hash things out at the Women Tell All, and she knows that Sydney is a good person and says that she was just misguided and, was trying to defend a friend too hard. Alex definitely made a note to say that a lot of the girls in the house were probably jealous of Maria because she was so confident and she had the best style. Maria also told a crazy story about her ex from years ago who cheated on her, and she ended up finding out because she lost her purse and she wanted to check the security cameras, so she asked the guy at the front desk, and that's when she saw his mistress. And Maria ended up becoming friends with the mistress and actually made out with the mistress because she wanted to see what this guy liked about her and what was so special that he couldn't, get from Maria. It's a really funny story. She's still friends with the mistress, and the mistress ended up coming clean to her after she already broke up with the guy. And she said, "Oh girl, I already knew." She never blamed the woman, and she says that it was up to the man to not do that behind her back. She says that she gets the ick from guys who can't dance but think they can, and that she is single, and even though she turned down the Bachelorette, she does want more opportunities in the entertainment industry, and, who knows what will come, but she is excited about the future. I do think it's really interesting how she showed up in this classy outfit and then changed into some Unwell merch, and at the end of the podcast, they totally tease that Maria might be joining the Unwell Network, which is so huge. Maria also said that she was so grateful that everybody wanted her to be the Bachelorette, and she felt like if she was doing it for everyone else, and she just didn't want to do it. Production was very supportive of her, but she just wasn't mentally prepared to go through that experience. And she was really disappointed when Wells Adams brought it up on his podcast, saying that he heard Maria had all these requirements, she wanted her phone. And it was never that. Maria loved the production, she just was not ready to commit to the process. She's not really dating, but she's not not dating. She wants to meet someone organically. She's never really been in love before. She's only had 2 boyfriends in the past. This podcast was filmed last week, a few days before Stagecoach, where I met my queen Maria in person, IRL, and she did tease to me at Stagecoach that this podcast was probably happening, so I think I kind of knew a day before everyone else knew.